Welcome back to my channel. I'm James, and today we're going to be discussing and talking about one of my new video series that's been very popular and highly requested. So today we're going to be diving into the decade of 2000s, so 2000 to 2009, in my most wanted and upcoming 4K Ultra HD releases of movies that are titles that are ones that are really great releases, that are exciting titles that I'm excited for. I've got some surprise announcements, some reveals. Now, as I've done in the two previous videos in this new video series, I did previously the 80s and the 90s most wanted. Now this is the 00s or the 2000s. So like I said, we're going to be covering the 2000 to 2009 time period. And both those previous videos I did before are available right now on this YouTube channel. There's a bunch of hidden surprises, reveals, and announcements that I've gotten from all of my inside studio contacts with all these different studios that I currently work with. And there's a lot of surprise announcements that a lot of you were really surprised that I revealed that are being worked on or that are coming out here in the next year or that are coming out in a year and a half to 2 years from now. There's tons of different titles, and that's what we're going to dive into in this video as well. I've got a lot of these hidden surprises and announcements to share with all of you that'll really get you excited for a lot of things coming out on 4K and physical media that are something to look forward to in the next couple of years here. Now, if any of these titles that I'm going to talk about in this video here that are on Blu-ray or that I have pre-order links for when they're coming out on 4K, I will always post them in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section below. That takes me a ton of time to go and get links for every single one of these releases. As you'll see as we go through this video, I cover tons of titles. So I put all of those links down there below that take you straight out to Amazon. I've always made it nice and easy for all of you. Those links that are posted there never cost you even a penny extra when you click on those. And they're on sale for the same prices everywhere. So if you want to buy any of these or you decide you want to pre-order any of these, make sure to go down to those links I've posted in the description section and as a pinned comment in the comment section below. It takes you straight out there to order your copies. Starting off with some heavy hitters here. We're going to start off with Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, and Ocean's 13. Now, Ocean's 11 came out in 2001, Ocean's 12 came out in 2004, and Ocean's 13 came out in 2007. So all three of the movies in this great trilogy came out in that same decade. Now, these movies I really enjoyed. I think the plot's great. I think the humor's great in it. I think the writing's great in it. I think that's such a great ensemble piece of movie series trilogy that it's just one of those that you cannot neglect. For the year of that 2000 to 2009, these were some great films. Now, I do know that these are being worked on. Now, here's what I don't know. I do know from my studio contacts these are being worked on for an upcoming 4K release. Now, because they are owned by Warner Brothers, because this is the 100th basically anniversary of Warner Brothers this year, my understanding is I would assume these are going to come out this year, but I could not get a definite answer. I asked, are these something that are going to come out this year during the 100th anniversary? No reply. But my understanding is these are being worked on. Now, I don't know also whether they're going to release them in a box set of all three as a trilogy, whether they're going to release like Ocean's 11, then wait like 3 or 4 months and reach Ocean's 12, and then Ocean's 13 6 months after that. I don't know. And there's something that I'm very excited for because I really love these films. I mean, George Clooney, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Julia Roberts. I mean, I could go on all day about the amazing ensemble cast in these. So these desperately need to be on 4K Ultra HD. And the good news is, I do know they are being planned and worked on for an upcoming 4K release. So that's some good news. Now, you can't talk 2000s without talking Tom Cruise. It really seems like every decade I'm talking about for the last 3 video series, Tom Cruise has some great films in each of those decades. Well, these are 2 that I would love to see on 4K Ultra HD. They are great movies, Steven Spielberg's Minority Report and The Last Samurai. Now, I can tell you I have heard Minority Report is one that is being planned and worked on by Paramount to come out on 4K Ultra HD, though I don't have a definitive date on this. Now, I do think we'll see this within the next year or 2, but it is something that is being worked on. Last Samurai, though, which I absolutely love. It's one of my all-time favorite Tom Cruise films. I saw this in theaters about 4 times. It's such a wonderful film. I have heard absolutely zilch zero about this release, but man, I'm telling you, like the armor and the battle sequences and the way that it was filmed, this would look absolutely incredible if done correctly on 4K. This is one of my wish list titles I really hope surprises us and comes out during this 100th anniversary of Warner Brothers, because this is owned by Warner Brothers and this would be an absolutely incredible 4K that I would be so thrilled if they actually released on 4K. But good news is we are going to get Minority Report here in the future. This is one, come on Warner Brothers, your 100th anniversary, put this one out this year. Another title that was a really fun and good sci-fi end of the world type film was The Core. Now I did just recently get it again, actually on Blu Ray from Shout and Scream Factory. Well, good news is it was just announced by Paramount Studios. They are releasing this on 4K Ultra HD in the next couple of months here. Now I will put the direct link to order your copy down in the description section and as a pinned comment below. So if you do want to pre-order it and order it, you can do that through that link down below. But this is one that I really enjoyed. I thought it was a really fun sci-fi kind of end of the world action adventure film. I thought the acting was good in it. Yeah, it has some cheesy parts, but the special effects were fun and I really had a good time with this film. So I'm glad this is getting a 4K Ultra HD release. So that was one that I was excited for that Paramount just recently announced, and that's why I included the new cover art and everything up above to show you what the new 4K actually is going to look like. Now, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to go down and give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification, just like with this brand new video series that I do here on my YouTube channel. I have tons of early reviews and exclusive content that you'll only ever find here on my YouTube channel. So make sure to go down, give this video a like and a thumbs up for me, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. Now, Drew Barrymore had some great romantic comedies, rom-coms in the 2000s. You have 2003's 50 First Dates, and you have 2004's Fever Pitch. Now, Jimmy Fallon was in this one, and I know it's about the Boston Red Sox. I'm a huge baseball fan, but I'm a New York Yankees fan, born and bred in New York, so I always was raised on the Yankees, and Boston Red Sox are always our rivals. Well, even though the Red Sox are our rivals, I still love this film. It's a good baseball film, romantic comedy. I've always really enjoyed this film, and that's why I have 2 copies of it. But 50 First Dates is another one of those with Drew Barrymore. It has Adam Sandler in it. It's a good comedy and kind of just plays with the different kind of romantic comedy that he keeps doing the same thing over and over again, kind of like Groundhog Day for dates. But I always enjoyed this, and these would be really good 4K releases. Though, sad news is this one is owned by Disney, 20th Century Fox. The likelihood of us getting this one on 4K is very, very minimal. I don't see it happening, but it would be cool if we ever got it. This one, though, is owned by Sony, and 50 First Dates could very likely come out here from Sony. It seems like every once in a while they release romantic comedies on 4K, just like they did recently when I did my complete review on My Best Friend's Wedding. That's a great Julia Roberts kind of rom-com, and that one was a lot of fun. If you haven't checked out that video, it is available on my YouTube channel for you to watch right now. I did that complete review of that 4K, but I would like them to do a better job if they release like 50 First Dates, for example, on 4K. But these would be 2 that would be kind of cool 4K releases of some romantic comedies that were really a good time. Now, any of these titles that you're excited about, or if there's some that you would really want to see come out that are your most wanted titles from the years of 2000 to 2009, make sure to start the conversation down in the comment section below after you get done watching this video. Now, I will preface that by saying a lot of the times I get comments saying, well, you didn't mention this one, like it's horrible because I didn't mention the one title that you absolutely love. There is thousands of titles that came out in this decade. From 2000 to 2009, I couldn't believe the massive amount of titles. And just like I talked about with those 2 previous videos I did, the 80s and the 90s, both those videos that I previously did, there was thousands of titles that I tried to narrow it down to some of my favorites. It doesn't mean there's not a million other titles I really wanted to talk about or to highlight or to share information about. I just simply don't have the time to spend 10 hours making every single video and filming it for 10 hours and releasing this massive compilation of every title that came out in that decade. I'm simply trying to bring out some of the best and the most wanted and some of my favorites kind of all mixed together with a ton of different genres of titles. So I don't stick to one thing of just sci-fi or action movies or romantic comedies or horror. I bring a mixture of all of them. As you'll notice in all of these video series, it's a mixture of all different types of movies. And that kind of makes these an exciting video series, which is why I think they're so popular when I go through all of this. But keep in mind, just because I don't mention the one title you absolutely love, it doesn't mean I didn't like it either. It just means because of the time of the video and the length, it probably just got cut because I simply couldn't fit every title of every movie in every single video that I make. So just pointing that out. Start that conversation down there below. Let me know what ones you are excited about. Let me know what ones you hope come to 4K, and let me know what ones in this video were real surprises and reveals to you that you weren't aware of, and that now you're excited knowing they're being worked on for 4K releases. 28 Days Later from 2002 and 28 Weeks Later from 2007 desperately need 4K restorations and releases on 4K Ultra HD. Both of these are amazing horror, zombie, end of the world films that I absolutely love. Both of these for different reasons, but man, are they phenomenal horror films with zombies, and just, I mean, they really were a shocking addition to the zombie genre. Love both these films, but they are owned by Disney and 20th Century Fox, and because, like I've said about a million times lately, because these just simply are not something that they release many catalog titles on 4K, I just don't know that we'll ever see titles like this. But these are something that would be dream titles of mine that I would love to see get 4K restorations, because the Blu-rays, they are really, really poor. I mean, overall, the sound, the visual quality on these, they are rough and they are really poor. They would look amazing if done correctly on 4K. Wanted from 2008, a personal kind of guilty pleasure action adventure with a sci-fi twist behind it movie that I loved. It has some good humor in it. Like, I always think of the scene when James McAvoy's character is smacking his office workers with his keyboard and the keys are flying across, spelling out things from the intro sequence with the person's teeth and things. Very, very clever. I really liked this film. I thought Angelina Jolie was great in it. Morgan Freeman was great in it. I really liked this film. Got some great news for you. This was just announced literally yesterday before I filmed this video, letting me know that this is coming out from Shout Factory on 4K Ultra HD. Now up above, I have the case artwork for what they just announced for this new 4K Ultra HD that is coming out. So you can pre-order that right now. I'll have the link listed down in the description section right below and as a pinned comment down below. But I was really excited about this one because I really liked it. The bullet bending thing, it's not realistic, first of all. It's very sci-fi. But if you put that all aside and just watch it as a sci-fi flick, it's got some great action in it, a good storyline, and it's got some pretty darn good humor in it that actually makes me laugh out loud. Now, whether that was intentional, I don't know, I think it was, but I liked this film, and I'm excited because this is finally coming out on 4K Ultra HD, and I am planning on doing a 4K versus Blu-ray image comparison review, just like I exclusively do here on my YouTube channel. Now, hopefully, this does arrive early for review. Kind of depends. Shipping's been horrible lately. Ever since like Christmas, it's never gotten any better, and a lot of my review copies have been showing up horribly late, like sometimes almost 2 to 3 weeks after the release date because they've been so far behind. But it is supposed to be coming, so hopefully I do get it in early enough. I can do my 4K versus Blu-ray for all of you and let you know how this one looks. But this is a hugely exciting title that I am very excited for. Next up, we've got Meet the Parents from 2000. I obviously like Meet the Fockers and Little Fockers, and I think this series is really funny. Heck, the titles of it's kind of funny if you really think about it. But anyhow, I really enjoyed these. Heck, it was even called the whole Focker collection, which I really think that's funny too if you really think about it. But anyhow, I really like this series. I think Robert De Niro, Ben Stiller really were top of their game in this series and played very well off of each other. I still think to this day the comedy in it really holds up. I really want all three of these on 4K Ultra HD, but here's what I've heard. Universal is working on the first one. That is the only one I have heard of that is being planned and worked on for a future 4K Ultra HD. I don't know if they're not planning on doing the other two. It might be a situation of like with Shrek 2 that I just recently did this review on, but with Shrek 2, they're releasing them individually, so even if there's like a trilogy of films that basically Universal has, they're doing them one at a time and like separated by either months or years. So my guess is we'll probably get the first one, then maybe a year or two later, we might get the second one, and then maybe a year later, we get the third one. But the only one I do know that Universal is working on and planning for a future release is actually the first title in this movie series. But man, I just wish they'd release it all together in a box set. That way I don't have to buy them each individually, but that's me just kind of wishing for something that I guess just doesn't really happen that often. So, but I'll be happy to buy it, even the individual release, because I really do like these films. Can't talk any of these decades without talking Arnold Schwarzenegger films. As most of you know, I absolutely love and adore Arnold Schwarzenegger. We got Collateral Damage from 2002, and we've got The Sixth Day from 2000. I like both of these films from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I do like them for different reasons. I think The Sixth Day is an underrated sci-fi classic that really has some really cool tones in it, and it's actually got even a little bit of horror in it, which was a cool mixture for like an Arnold Schwarzenegger film. And then Collateral Damage was just one of those just over-the-top explosive action films of his that I've always really enjoyed as well. Neither one of these, though, have I heard are even being worked on or considered for 4K Ultra HD releases. Really wish they were. These are more wish list titles of mine, but these would be cool if done correctly, and I really do hope we get these eventually. Can't really talk any of these last several decades I've been doing these videos on without talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, two of my favorite action stars of all time. Well, in action movies, Get Carter was really good. I think it's very underrated, and it's gotten a big cult status over the last several years. Driven was more one of Sylvester Stallone's kind of not as well known and not as great films. It has some cheesiness in it. It doesn't hold up super well, though to me, I have always enjoyed this. So I do hope it gets a 4K, but the likelihood of this one is pretty darn slim. I do see us getting this one more likely simply because Get Carter, the one with Michael Caine, the British film that this is based on, actually just recently got from BFI an actual 4K Ultra HD release as well. So this is one I could see Warner Brothers releasing, but because there's so many other bigger titles Warner Brothers has in their catalog, I do think this is going to be something way later on and something that they would touch on many, many years later, because there's so many other bigger titles I can see them releasing first, but these are two I would like. One of my all-time favorite Robert Zemeckis films with Tom Hanks is Castaway. You just really can't put aside the outstanding performance that Tom Hanks had in this. Yes, you can give him a hard time saying, oh, it was a little cheesy when he's talking to the volleyball, things like that. I don't know. To me, it touched my heart. I love the film. No matter how many times I watch it, I think it's just an absolutely outstanding film. There's so many things done right in this. The musical score is great in this. The acting is just superb. Love the film and would absolutely kill for a 4K Ultra HD release of this. Sad thing is, owned by 20th Century Fox and Disney, so I try not to include too many of these Disney or 20th Century Fox titles in a lot of these videos because I get a lot of people saying, man, that really stinks, and it does. There were so many 20th Century Fox Disney titles I really wanted to talk about and highlight, but because it's really one of those things they just aren't touching any of their catalog to do for 4K releases, it's one of those that it's just a real bummer and real stinky because this Blu-ray is not great looking. It's got a lot of issues. There's some banding, blocking. A lot of these early Blu-ray releases from 20th Century Fox were very poor. This is one of them, but this might be the best we ever see this film in, unless for some reason they would license it out to somebody. But they don't do the 4K licensing out to anybody very often. So I would hope for it, but I don't see us getting it. Another film from 2004 that I love of Will Smith's is I, Robot. The special effects in this and everything and would look really good in a native 4K. Man, would it make it look outstanding. There's some cool sci-fi elements in this film that really enhance the story of this film, and I've always really enjoyed it. Again, 20th Century Fox Disney, so likelihood of this is very, very minimal. One of my favorite 2006 Will Ferrell comedies, Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Rickey Bobby, is being planned on for an upcoming 4K Ultra HD release though. Now I don't know how far along the work is, I just know it was something that was being planned for, that they are planning on doing a 4K release of this. Don't know how soon we'll get it, but it is something that's being planned by Sony, and this one is exciting. I love this film. It is hilarious, taking NASCAR and just everything about that scene. I really think Will Ferrell was outstanding in this release. So this one would be an exciting one when it does eventually release on 4K. Can't talk 2000s without 2004's The Anchorman, another phenomenal Will Ferrell comedy. He had some great ones in the 2000s. This is one that's an absolutely hilarious comedy, and my wife and I love this film. We've watched it so many times, but this one I have not heard anything about this being released on 4K. I do think eventually we will get it because it was a big release. Paramount owns the rights to it, so it's something they can easily release on 4K Ultra HD. I just haven't heard a darned thing about it, but this is something that would make for a real cool 4K release. The Ring from 2002 and The Ring 2 from 2005, Two of my favorite horror movies that I love watching over and over again. They've had a very rough Blu-ray release for a while. They weren't even released around the world except in numerous like random territories, hence this Blu-ray. But then they kind of did like a print on demand, Paramount did, of the Ring 1, which is what this one is. Then later on they announced they were working on it to do a 4K release, and that was about 2 years ago. Then you heard nothing of it. Then all of a sudden they released a limited release of The Ring that was a regular Blu-ray release, and now I haven't heard anything about it again. So as far as these two go, I have no clue. Originally I thought these were coming to 4K because it was something they said they were working on. Then they released that Blu-ray, and then nothing ever came of it. So I do see these getting a 4K release eventually. I just don't know how soon, and I don't know when they're doing them, because with these releases, Paramount was kind of all over the place, but I loved these horror films. I think they were really well done. Give you the creeps. Like, I still think of the scene when she's coming out of the well or when she's coming out of the TV. Holy crud, does that still make my skin crawl. My wife and I saw these in theaters originally, and man, I remember her like screaming when all of a sudden you realize what's really going on. But that's what makes for really good, like, these were just really good creepy horror films without being too over the top. I absolutely love these films, and I really hope we get them on 4K. Like, technically they were planning like 2 years ago when they first even talked about it, but hopefully these are something we see come out here pretty soon. One of my favorite Criterion Collection Blu-ray releases. This is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button from 2008. It has Brad Pitt, Cate Blanchett. Love the film. I do think David Fincher did an absolutely outstanding job with this. This is one that I secretly hope that Criterion is working on doing a 4K restoration and 4K Ultra HD release, because this one would really benefit from it to really make this film shine. So I'm really hoping we get this on 4K Ultra HD from Criterion Collection. Some Robert Rodriguez love here. Now you got 2003's Once Upon a Time in Mexico and Sin City from 2005. Both of these films should be on 4K Ultra HD already. Now the Desperado saga, that should be on 4K Ultra HD as well with Once Upon a Time in Mexico, but I would appreciate all of these being on 4K. I really like these films. They do have some over-the-top action in them. There is some things that are kind of crass in them. Both of these do deserve to be on 4K Ultra HD, and I really like Johnny Depp in this one. Man, I thought Johnny Depp was so darn cool in this film, but I do hope we get both of these on 4K, and sooner rather than later. Two Wolfgang Petersen, basically big wave movies that I really do hope come out on 4K Ultra HD, though I have heard Warner Brothers is considering A Perfect Storm for 4K. Heard nothing about Poseidon, but Poseidon with Kurt Russell, and there were so many other actors in this that I really enjoyed. No, it wasn't as amazing as the original, but I still really enjoyed this film, and I think the special effects were really cool in this. Though if you've ever watched both these films, there's actually some of the waves in this that look very similar to like the wave effects they used for The Perfect Storm. Makes you wonder if they kind of used some of them and just kind of basically updated them a little bit for Poseidon. But anyhow, both of these need to be on 4K Ultra HD. I really liked both these films. George Clooney was really good in this one. I actually went to see this one many years ago, and I remember seeing it in theaters and thinking, man, what an epic story. And yeah, the ending, it's a tearjerker. I mean, I'm not meaning to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but man, is it a tearjerker. But both of these would make really cool 4Ks, and Perfect Storm is one I do know that's being considered. Another title that I have been just recently notified about that is coming out on 4K Ultra HD from Paramount Studios is Enemy at the Gates. Now, I did talk about it a little bit in my recent top 10 war movies on 4K Ultra HD video. If you want to check out that video, it's available now here on this YouTube channel. But I just kind of went into a bunch of war movies on 4K Ultra HD, specifically 4K. So it's not on 4K, it didn't qualify for that list anyways. And they're ones that are specifically heroic or based on true stories, not just random thrown out of nowhere. And that's why that list is specific. But that one, if you want to check out that one, it does talk about a bunch of 4K releases about war movies. But this is one that is coming out. It's already being worked on by Paramount, and it is planned for a future 4K Ultra HD release, hopefully here this year, is my understanding on when the plans are for this coming out. So this is an exciting one because I really enjoyed this film. If you haven't checked out this film, that 4K, if done correctly, is going to make this look outstanding because this is a great war film. Continuing talking about war films, U571 desperately needs to be on 4K Ultra HD. This came out in 2000. It is a great war film with Matthew McConaughey in it. It is one of those that didn't go too over the top. It's rated PG-13, and it does a great job of showing the crew in a submarine And I think that's a different aspect that doesn't get touched on too much during World War II. And that's what this film did a phenomenal job on. Well, this is one that would make a great 4K release. It's not being talked about right now, and I have heard no rumblings that it's being worked on. But man, Universal, this one would be a phenomenal title for you to release with like Dolby Atmos. You know, when the bombs are coming down and the barrels are exploding around the ship. Imagine when they're in that submarine, but do a Dolby Atmos mix where you can hear that all around your room above you as it's dropping in the water and coming down through the water. That would make one really epic and cool Dolby Atmos mix. So hopefully we get this and they actually do Dolby Atmos for this as well, because that would be incredible. Continuing to talk about war films, one of my favorite Mel Gibson, Randall Wallace 2002 war films is We Were Soldiers. This one I absolutely love. I wanted to talk about it in the top 10 war movies, but it's not on 4K, so it didn't qualify for that list. This is one of those that I really, really want on 4K Ultra HD. Same thing, Dolby Atmos, Dolby Vision on it. Come on, Paramount, you could make this look incredible. I mean, they've given us Braveheart and all of those other types of films I've talked about. This one needs to be on 4K because the Blu-ray is very poor. I mean, it looks okay, but there's so many things. The sound's not great on it. The battle sequences, it gets muddled. You can barely hear a lot of things going on and things that are said. Then you've got issues with, obviously, when there's bombs going off, there's some blocking and banding. This one needs a 4K restoration, and it would be such a cool one to add to my war film collection. I love war movies. So Paramount, since you're doing Enemy at the Gates, don't stop there. Give us We Were Soldiers as well. Work on this one as well for a 4K release. Continuing our war films here, I wanted to stick to the war films here just for a little bit. Pearl Harbor, would love this one on 4K Ultra HD, but Disney owns it. Likelihood of this is almost nil. I don't know that we'll ever see much of anything with this because, like I said, they just don't like to work on titles from their catalog releases on 4K. They are releasing a few this year, like they're going to do Cinderella, and I am planning on getting Cinderella in on 4K early for a review. That is something that I am getting in. I don't know how early it'll be, but that is one I am hoping to do a future review on. But that's one of their animated titles. I mean, a lot of their live action catalog titles you just don't see on 4K, but this one would be such an epic one if we ever got it with the director's cut as well on 4K. Come on, Disney. Sell your catalog to someone else. Lease it out to them. Let them do the 4K releases. You've got so many amazing titles that it is really criminal that are not being released or restored. Finishing up talking about our war films is the 2006 Clint Eastwood epic Flags of Our Fathers, and then obviously Letters from Iwo Jima. Both of these need to be on 4K Ultra HD. Now, Clint Eastwood kind of announces when he's working on things or if he's working on restorations or things with Warner Brothers. Neither one of those have been announced as something that he's working on for a planned future 4K. So I don't know if it's going to be something that comes out a year later, 2 years later, but these would be really cool. I love those war films, both sides of it, and release them in a box set with Letters from Iwo Jima and Flags of Our Fathers, put them together in a 4K release. But there's something that they're not announcing that's being worked on right now, and I haven't heard any rumblings about it. Now we got to talk about one of my favorite movie series of all time. You obviously have The Legend of Zorro from 2005 and The Mask of Zorro. Now, Sony owns the rights to these. They released The Mask of Zorro, and they're actually releasing a brand new Dolby Vision release of The Mask of Zorro. I have the first one, and I'm getting the Dolby Vision one to hopefully do a comparison review between this release and the new Dolby Vision to kind of see what the differences are, if they did a better bit rate on it, all those types of things. So I love that they're releasing this one, obviously with Dolby Vision and a new SteelBook. Now I'll put that link down below for the SteelBook as well as this release for that new release of The Mask of Zorro. But The Legend of Zorro got a digital release. I don't use digital. I absolutely hate digital, as most of you know, because of all those reasons I talked about recently in why physical media matters so much. And there's a million reasons why. If you haven't checked out that video yet, you need to go watch that video. There are so many things that you're not aware of that digital services are doing, basically very deceptive practices and things that are wrong that are going on that I uncover in that video and share with all of you. That's very important for you to understand. Well, this did get a digital release, but as I explained in that video, this is one I want on 4K Ultra HD. We already got Mask of Zorro, 2 releases of this. Come on, Sony. Release this on 4K Ultra HD on disc, even if it's a limited edition release. Let's say you release The Legend of Zorro only for a limited time, and I don't know how many copies you do, 10,000 copies. I don't care. I'll be one of the first people to order it because I loved this series. And The Legend of Zorro is amazing, and I loved it just as much as The Mask of Zorro. It needs to be on 4K because The Mask of Zorro is. You can't leave it hanging out there where we have this Blu-ray that is a really poor Blu-ray, and then you've got this amazing 4K transfer of The Mask of Zorro, but not of The Legend of Zorro. Come on, Sony, don't leave us hanging. Put The Legend of Zorro on 4K Ultra HD, please. One of my favorite comedies from 2007 is Superbad. This is one of those comedies that I have watched at least 10 times. I think the casting on this was so great, and there's so many scenes in it that are so reminiscent of that feeling of when you were growing up and wanting to be 21 and you thought drinking was the most amazing thing. Funniest scene in this to me is always when they're putting the alcohol in the jugs of laundry detergent. Still one of the funniest scenes there because it's like they were so desperate. They were going to do anything they could to get that alcohol. And there's so many great scenes in this. Absolutely love this film. This needs to be on 4K Ultra HD. I have not heard anything about this one. Another great cult classic is A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger. I really enjoyed this film. It's not realistic. It's kind of more of like a rock opera of medieval times. And what I mean by that is obviously the music's like rock music mixed in with like rock style, their hairstyles, everything about it, even the dancing in it was not time period specific to it. But it was such a cool feeling of a film. I really thought Heath Ledger and the cast in it was fun. It was a fun film that I enjoyed watching. This one needs to be on 4K. Two gangster films that would be amazing on 4K is Tom Hanks' Road to Perdition and Johnny Depp's Public Enemies. Both of these I absolutely love. They rank up there with some of my favorite mobster gangster films of all time. I watch these over and over again. I do feel like they go very well with like the Godfather theme behind it, like just the whole mobster gangster era. Both of these were phenomenally well done films that I really enjoyed. And I do want these on 4K. Have not heard anything about either of these being worked on for a 4K release, but they are wish list titles that I do hope we get. Now, Arrow Video gave us the 2000 Pitch Black, and I'm really wanting the 2004 Chronicles of Riddick next. Now, I did like the Pitch Black 4K Ultra HD release, and I kind of thought all along that Arrow Video was going to do the rest of like the Pitch Black series on 4K. But then they had those issues a year ago with their releasing and things like that, and they really haven't done a whole ton recently. Every once in a while they announce a title, but they're not big releases like kind of what I feel like Pitch Black was or things like that. I've enjoyed some of them, but I'm just saying they haven't been like, other than like maybe Robin Hood, those are just kind of like spread out and really far and few between. I really do hope we get the Chronicles of Riddick. No, it's not the best part of the Pitch Black series, but I want it because I really enjoyed it, and I do want the uncut and director's cuts all included, and that's why I feel like Arrow Video would be a good fit for this since they already did Pitch Black. But haven't heard anything if they're going to release this because it's kind of one of those things they took a step back and now it's just randomly every once in a while they make an announcement, and there's been no rumblings about this. Two movies from 2006 that are absolutely amazing Leonardo DiCaprio films. He did an absolutely amazing job in these films is The Departed and Blood Diamond. Now, I have heard The Departed is being worked on for a 4K Ultra HD release. This is one that I think would fit in with their 100th anniversary year here of obviously what they're releasing on 4K. And this is one that would fit right in with that time period. I do hope we get Blood Diamond as well because it's a great release of Leonardo DiCaprio's. But this is one, The Departed, that will be coming out here hopefully this year from Warner Brothers. Now, another big title from the 2000s that just got announced from Warner Brothers for their 100th anniversary here is actually Training Day with Denzel Washington and Ethan Hawke. It's a really cool like crime, cop, caper, it's really got some great performances in it. And that film is actually coming out on 4K Ultra HD, and I'm showing you the cover up above. That's already right now available to pre-order. I'll put that link down there below for you, so if you do decide you want to pre-order or buy that, I'll put that link down there below so that way you can get your copy. Touching on another Leonardo DiCaprio film, this one's with Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks. And this is one that actually last year, Paramount sent out a survey asking basically who would be interested in a 4K release of this. Now, I obviously put down I was interested in that, and I thought that it would be a good 4K release. The odd thing is, after that went out, I noticed like when it had like the bar showing how many people had voted and what they wanted, this one was very high on there. But they ended up releasing a Blu-ray, a limited edition like SteelBook Blu Ray, instead of a 4K. So I don't know if that means that that's all they're planning on doing, and that was it. Basically, they thought maybe they didn't get enough votes, or maybe they're working on the 4K and they decided to double dip, and they released this, then they released that limited edition Steelbook, and now they're going to release it on 4K. I don't know. That one I don't know, but this one is one I can see being a 4K release. It's just kind of odd how they did it, that they did that whole survey last year and then kind of did that Steelbook limited edition right after it. Not quite sure what's going on with it, but it was one that at one time they were considering for a 4K. One of my favorite Bruce Willis movies of all time is Tears of the Sun. This movie is owned by Sony. It is a great true story. I absolutely love the acting, and the storyline behind it I think is phenomenal. The music's in it's great. And this one needs to be on 4K. Good news is Sony owns it, so it's likely we could see this coming out. No rumblings about that this is coming out, but it is a great war drama. The acting in this I loved, and it's still one of those movies, every time I watch it, brings a tear to my eye. Another great Bruce Willis film, needs to be on 4K. This is an MGM release. It's Heart's War. Now, it's not his best film ever, but it still was good, and it's a World War II drama, so I really want it. This one could be licensed out to somebody easily because MGM is licensing out their entire catalog. So this is one I do see somebody picking up and releasing as well, because it's another good like Bruce Willis World War II movie, though Tears of the Sun in my opinion is much better, but I want both of these. The 2001 creepy horror movie The Others with Nicole Kidman deserves a 4K release. Because of the way this was filmed with like the colors and the tones of where like it would have drastic color shifts where it would go from like a grayish look to like a brownish look to a like bright yellow to then like blue and then back to like a dark black. Man, with the right implementation of HDR Dolby Vision would look really good with this film, especially with the creepy effects of like the faces, white faces coming out of a pitch black background. Imagine that with like a good OLED. You know, I have my LG G2 Gallery Edition, and that OLED is outstanding with the lights to darks on it and the HDR on it. Man, imagine that variance of that coming out, that creepy scene out of the darkness. This is going to be a really cool 4K Ultra HD release. Nice thing is, Paramount owns the rights, so they could release this on 4K, and this would be a really cool one that I would like. One of my favorite comedic actors, Steve Carell's The 40-Year-Old Virgin. This was a funny film. Now, the only way I would want them to release this film if Universal did it is with all of the unrated and then the director's cut and the theatrical cut. I don't want them to only put one cut on 4K. So it would be a little bit more work for them because they'd probably have to put it on maybe 2 separate discs to get all the cuts plus the special features. And I'd be fine with that, but that's the only way I want it. I don't want them to just release the theatrical cut and then forget about all the other cuts, because there was the directors and the unrated, and each of them have different tones and different comedic elements and beats to it that lend to the film, and I want all those cuts released if they're going to do it, though I haven't heard this one's being worked on. A personal guilty pleasure sci-fi action film with Jet Li, The One. I went to see this in theaters about 4 times. I thought it was such a cool like soundtrack and over-the-top action in it going into the multiverse. And that's before multiverse was super popular. You know, nowadays they talk about everywhere, everything, everywhere, all at once, and all these like multiverse, like Marvel created the idea. Actually, a long time ago, The One created the idea, and it was popular way back then. And this is what I personally think a lot of them kind of stole their ideas from. And if you haven't seen this film, you're going to want to go check this film out, and you'll realize how much like Everything Everywhere All at Once kind of stole its ideas, as well as Marvel did, from this film, because this was kind of coming up with the idea originally. But this film came out in 2001. I think Jet Li is great in it. Sony owns the rights to this. Now, it was recently licensed out to another studio that did another Blu-ray release of this in a limited edition Blu-ray. So I don't know if that means that Sony isn't interested in doing anything with it themselves because they licensed it out just recently. But this is one that's a personal guilty pleasure of mine that I absolutely love and want this on 4K. One of my favorite Keanu Reeves movies that, no, it wasn't perfect and it wasn't a perfect comic book adaptation, but it is one I enjoyed and I thought Keanu Reeves was good in it, is Constantine. And this came out in 2005, and I can tell you some good news. Warner Brothers is working on a 4K Ultra HD release of this. It was actually talked about and referenced by Warner Brothers about a year ago. They referenced that they were looking at this for a 4K Ultra HD release, and then they talked about it again after that. So it is one that is being planned for an upcoming 4K Ultra HD release, but I have no definitive dates when it's coming out. I just know that it's one that they have been planning for the last year and working on. So we will see this on 4K coming out eventually here. So that's exciting because I did like the film. 2004's Troy by Wolfgang Petersen should desperately already be on 4K Ultra HD. I'm kind of surprised at some of the titles we've gotten on 4K, and that Troy is not on 4K Ultra HD kind of surprises me. I have heard nothing about this even being worked on. The cast in it was great. I thought the direction in it was great. I thought the costumes, everything were so over the top. Maybe they weren't 100% realistic to the time period, but the film itself had so much style and acting and epic just set pieces and just epic score, and they really don't make movies like they did with Troy here, and I absolutely love this, though I want to make sure they release it with the director's cut and the theatrical cut on 4K. Not only one cut, I want them all. I don't want them to only release one and then the other one's not available. So Warner Brothers, if you do decide you're going to release this, make sure to release all of the cuts on 4K Ultra HD and do a good job with this, because this would be an absolutely amazing 4K that I would love to have in my collection. This is one of my wish list dream titles that I'm really shocked with how much money this movie made. I mean, Brad Pitt's in it, Eric Bana, Orlando Bloom. I could go on all day about the cast in this. I'm really surprised this has not been put on 4K Ultra HD yet. Ridley Scott's 2005 epic movie, The Kingdom of Heaven, with Orlando Bloom, should be on 4K. This is another one, just like I was talking about with Troy. I really like this film. I want the director's cut, I want the uncut version, and I want the theatrical cut. All of them on 4K. 20th Century Fox owns this though. So I was really disappointed when I realized that, because the likelihood of us seeing this is almost nil. But man, this desperately needs it, because the Blu-ray versions, they're not that great. All different things, audio issues, there's some blocking, things like that, that just, it really needs a 4K restoration. And I want to have all of Ridley Scott's films, just like all of Steven Spielberg's and all of Wolfgang Petersen, all of those films and those directors, I want all of their films on 4K Ultra HD. It really stinks with this one, because I would love to have this one on 4K Ultra HD. 2003's Bruce Almighty and 2007's Evan Almighty. Remember how I referenced Steve Carell? Loved him in this movie too. I thought he was great in Evan Almighty. Now here's a little thing. I actually liked Evan Almighty better than I liked Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey. Now I do like both of them. I want them both on 4K. But in a lot of ways, I actually liked Evan Almighty because I thought Steve Carell was great in this. Now, he's in this one as well, but he's the main character in this. But anyhow, and I think these comedies should be released in a box set. Just release them both together because they go along with each other. But they're really funny and they are an enjoyable time. Need 4K updates. Wow, that was a lot of titles to go through again with all of you. Now, make sure to start that conversation down below in the comment section below and let me know what ones of these you're excited that I announced are being worked on and that are coming out on 4K Ultra HD, and what of these you're hoping that you're going to get on 4K Ultra HD. Make sure to start that conversation down below. Now, any of the titles that I wasn't able to cover, remember, just because of the length of this video, it doesn't mean I don't love them. It doesn't mean I don't want them. And some of them I actually knew were coming out that I couldn't include in this because I wanted to make sure to vary between horror, sci-fi, comedy, action. And I could literally talk for probably like a day straight of all the titles I know that have been announced or that are coming out on 4K Ultra HD, and that video would be like 12 hours long. And nobody's going to sit for 12 hours and watch that, and I know that. So that's why I try to include them in videos like this, little announcements along the way, so that way I'm teasing and letting you know all about titles that you can be excited that are coming out, that are giving you something to look forward to. So that's why this video series is something unique and exclusive that I do here on my YouTube channel. Now, if you decide you're going to pick up and buy any of these releases that I talked about in this video, make sure to go down to the description section right below this video or the pinned comment in the comment section below. As always, in every single one of these videos that I do in this video series and every video here on my YouTube channel, I link all the direct links right below from Amazon. When you click on those, it takes you straight out to there. Don't forget, if you want to support the creation of these videos and support my YouTube channel, I'm not paid or sponsored by anybody. The only way I can always continue to create all of this content that all of you enjoy watching here on my YouTube channel is through my Collector's VIP Club. It costs you less than a couple of dollars, less than the price of a cup of coffee, but you get a bunch of perks and benefits for joining that. You get special member badging next to your name. You get special early access to videos. You get exclusive videos. You get special emojis. There's a bunch of perks like voting. I let my VIP Club members vote on future videos that they get to determine the course of some videos that I create. All of those benefits you get from joining my Collector's VIP Club for only a couple of dollars, but that goes right back into the creation of these videos, and it truly does make a difference in me being able to continue to do this full time. As most of you know, it takes me a lot of time and work to create all of this exclusive content. All of these image comparisons, all of this data I get together, all of this special effects and music and compilation videos that I do take tons and tons of hard work and time for me to create. So make sure to support my YouTube channel by either joining my Collector's VIP Club or giving a super thanks to the super thanks button that's right below this video. That super thanks button is just like a tip. You give $1, you give $2, whatever you want through that on each video, and that goes back into this YouTube channel as well. And I want to say thank you to all of my Collector's VIP Club members. You truly do make a difference. And as most of you notice on the main page of my YouTube channel, I have a bar up there that shows off all of your pictures and things like that, showing my Collector's VIP Club members and thanking you for all of your support. So once you join the Collector's VIP Club, your name and your picture goes on that collection, and everybody gets to see that. Don't forget to give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. As always, I truly hope all of you have a blessed day, that you had fun with this video series again. I know this has been a very popular and very sought after video series, and I'm excited that it's turning out so well. As always, I have something new and exciting coming out very soon.